what? Let's just start there. It's a startup. It's what you get. I mean, I'd like to take people behind the scenes of Bill and I. We've been scrambling to get this on. Bill Krueger with us, Root Sports, Rise Above Foundation here on pucksports.com. Also on YouTube, you can watch it, Puck Sports, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you find pucksports.com. Bill will join us every Monday talking Mariners baseball, Rise Above Foundation. I want to get into the golf classic that's going to be happening, the Rise Above Golf Classic, here in a second. But if we had the outtakes, Bill, it was comical, you and I trying to get this recorded today. But we did. We did it.
Well, we did. I mean, you had to hold my hand literally. I know you can do that through a computer, but you were literally holding my hand. And it came down to the simplest thing of having the volume setting up on my computer. I mean, talk about imbecilic. This is not your fault, Jason.
But it's always the little things. I swear, when we do this stuff, it's just the little things. Well, I appreciate you doing it. You know how thrilled I am to have you. Sure. Just love having you on doing the old radio show, and the fact that you've made the switch over here to pucksports.com. I'm thrilled you're doing it. I love your opinion on all things baseball. I love you have this when I would go to the ballpark and sit kind of in front of you, the grumblings and the issues you used to have all the time. I love it because it's honest. It's how we all are as baseball fans. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you doing it. Well, we're underway. We're 4 games in, Bill. We spent an entire offseason talking about what? Got to get players who don't strike out as much. And they go 4 games into the season, and all they've done is strike out 45 times. It's like a clip of 33% that they're striking out at. I know it's just 4 games. We tend to always overreact to this stuff. But, I mean, it was a storyline of the offseason, and they're not off to a good start offensively in terms of that.
No, they scored 10 runs in 4 games, and this Red Sox team wasn't considered to be elite pitching-wise, at least from the starting rotation, which they pitched very well. So they're going to do better. I mean, this team doesn't need to be great offensively. They just need to be average or slightly above average, which they weren't. And they still won 2 games, right? Because they can really pitch, particularly the rotation. The bullpen, I think, did a pretty good job over the weekend, considering that you're missing Santos and Brash right now, and you're having to throw some young kids at some of these innings. But, I mean, offensively, they weren't there. Garver only played 1 game, and he's obviously a big part of their offense. He'll be back hopefully soon. But your key components, your top of the order, Rodriguez and Crawford, Polanco, those guys got to swing the bat better than they did these past 4 games.
What do we chalk it up to? Because it's obviously something in the spring that they didn't have any issue with, right? It wasn't they weren't having these problems. Now, some will say, hey, the problem is you get down in Arizona in that weather and that how dry it is, the spin will not spin as much on these breaking balls. So maybe it's easier to hit these breaking balls and not strike out as much. And then when you get up here in the heavier air, the marine and all that, now it's going to spin more. And so now these guys are going to have a harder time hitting those types of pitches. The weather is always a factor here, right, Bill? They go from 84 degrees to 41. How much does that, do you think, really truly affect these guys as an offense, especially when it comes to, facing a team like Boston that's going to throw a lot of breaking pitches at them?
Well, I mean, that's big league pitching. You don't only chalk it up to big league pitching. You got to take something away from somebody to make them throw you a fastball. I mean, that's just baseball, right? Yes. Is it easier to hit in spring training? Sure. You're seeing pitchers that are not always your major league staff in a lot of those games. They don't really start playing the whole game until the end of the spring. And dry air, you don't get a lot of breaking stuff. It's hard to pitch there. It's easier to hit there. There's a real factor about that. April is not a good month for the Mariners at their ballpark. It's going to be a pitcher's ballpark. So you just have to, you're really going to lean on pitching, and you come up with a clutch hit. That's kind of how they're going to win early. And that's not a bad way to be. I mean, you're much better served by having a team that can stop somebody than for a team that can't and just scores. Okay. That's the other side of the pendulum swing. You don't want to be there. That's the worst place you could be. So being in a place where if they could just scratch a few runs together and maybe a clutch hit late, those are the kind of wins they get. The game that they won in the 10th inning, they pitched great and they basically wore the other team down. They got Joely Rodriguez, and he was the one guy we hit the whole series, and got him in a corner and scored on him, right? So that's what the Mariners do. That's been their MO for a long time. So you just don't flip that switch and say, okay, now we've got all these guys that get on base. I mean, we just don't know, right? We know about France. We've had him for a while. We know what he looks like. And he's made some adjustments. Haniger has been injured a lot, but we know what he looks like. But we don't know what Polanco looks like. And what I saw from him, I think he's got to make. I don't know. I mean, he hit 32 home runs a few years back, but he's been banged up, and his numbers haven't been as good. This guy's got an open stance, and he's stepping and pulling. I mean, he's trying to pull everything and try to hit it out of the ballpark. I mean, if I was facing him, I'd pitch him away, and he'd be out every time. He's going to have to be better up the middle of the field. Rodriguez is a slow starter. That's just kind of who he's been, and he looked fine. He'll be fine. Yeah. And then the rest of the lineup, you're kind of waiting and seeing, right? Raleigh's going to be a hit and miss kind of home run type guy. That's kind of who he is. I don't think you can pass too many judgments on the rest of the lineup. It's really the top three that need to be a little more productive.
Yeah. How surprised were you that when you on Saturday night when you learned the news and notes that, listen, that's his first walk-off game-winning hit in his career. Now it's a young career, but this is a generational superstar. How much he talked about it afterwards, Bill, that this is something that's kind of he was well aware of it. He knew that he had not done that before. And it was kind of a notion last year, right? As they got towards the end of the year, that narrative was he wasn't stepping up in those prime time spots to deliver clutch hits. That seemed to be in the back of his mind kind of all off season. He talked about having a disappointing season last year, and he was finished fourth in the American League MVP voting. Right. How much does what he did Saturday night, how much will you think that's going to do for his confidence?
I think it does something for his confidence. I mean, you could tell he's been really mindful of staying up the middle of the field. Everything's kind of inside out right now. He's really not trying to yank the ball, and so he's going to stay on pitches a lot longer. When he struggled in September, when bigger and better pitching came to the fore, they really exposed his aggressiveness. That's the big story with him, swinging off the plate, right? The first of last year, he swung off the plate. And the year before, he didn't. He just got called out on a lot of pitches. And then he got hot in July where he saw some substandard pitching. And then, in September, he struggled. He hit 100. If you look at the reason why the Mariners didn't make the playoffs, really, I mean, you can walk through the whole season and talk about they didn't win close games as they had for 2 years. They didn't win extra innings as they had for 2 years. But really what it came down to is Castillo had 2 poor starts and Rodriguez hit 100. I mean, your 2 best players don't play. You're not going to be able to get there. And that's what happened to him. So I think it's a plus for him. He's, just to see the fact that he is not really, you can feel that there's another level that he's going to get to. I think the problem we have is he's a very young player. Yeah. And, we paid him as if he's already there. And, that's the thing that they made a decision to do. He's very mature for sure. But I mean, I don't know, when you hand the keys to the city before you really have figured out where the keys go, I mean, that's a lot to ask, I think. But he's a good player. This is a good step. He's going to be good this year. He's going to improve his numbers. He's going to cut his strikeouts down, 175 last year. He's going to bring that number down, and he's going to be very, very good.
Let's go back to the strikeouts. Let's get. Is there something that just changed at all? You thought maybe you saw in spring that they changed in the first 4 games, or was it just a volume from better pitchers that they were seeing breaking balls that was the biggest difference with Boston? This is not like a murder's row here of a rotation that they just faced in Boston. I mean, they're going to face much better rotations, much better rotations in the American League. And they were held to 10 runs in 4 games and struck out 45 times. So, people will say, hey, you're going to overreact to 4 games. But at the same time, you're going to see much better staffs here in the American League. Was there an approach thing, or is it just a better talent was at him these past 4 games?
Well, they clearly did not adjust to the fact that the Red Sox were not going to give in and throw a lot of fastballs and fastball counts, and they didn't deviate. I mean, they kind of stuck with that throughout the lineup. If you got into a 1-1 or 2-1 count, you might got a split, you might have got a cutter, you might have got a slider. I mean, that's kind of what you saw. Bellows was the first guy that, you know, he challenged a little bit more with his sinking fastball, but after that, and we got 2 off of him, hit the home run, hit him a little bit. But the next few guys were all breaking stuff, higher breaking stuff. But, you know, I mean, that's a good mix. I mean, it's like Gilbert. Gilbert's tough. Gilbert throws 40% fastballs, and he throws 97, and he's landing breaking stuff. That's hard. When a guy has that fastball, you put that fastball in your head, it's above 95, and then you have all the other pitches you're pitching with, but the fastball's still in the back of your head. That's a tough combination, right? More times than not, that's going to put you behind the count, and you're going to have some problems. But the Red Sox were able to pitch in odd counts and throw slow stuff and keep these guys off balance and made them look bad. I don't know. Every game is unique. Every pitcher is unique. You can't say, well, this is the trend now, so we should look breaking ball in the next series, right?
Right.
You know, every one-on-one combination is going to be its own unique game, and it's inside the game.
Yeah. But they're going to get a healthy dose of it with the Guardians. I mean, you got McKenzie and Bieber, I think, well known of guys that love to spin it there at a high rate. Let's flip over to the pitching. I mean, kind of an up and down performance from Castillo. Probably the same thing there with Bryce Miller there on Sunday. But Bill sandwiched in between are the 2 young guys. Let's first start with George Kirby's performance on Friday night. I mean, he was just absolutely electric. Goes 6 2/3 innings. Doesn't give up a single run. Boy, uncharacteristic. He walks a couple of guys early on, which he never, ever does, but then just responds back like a true ace, strikes out 8. You couldn't have asked for a better debut from George Kirby.
He was magnificent. He's a great pitcher. I mean, he's got superstar written all over him. And what I like about George, you know, he's a guy that can pitch inside the strike zone with his fastball. I think it's so hard to be able to always pitch off the plate with your fastball and then try to pitch in the plate with everything else, right? And he's in old school in that fashion. We were taught to pitch inside the strike. We had to. The strike zone was different. But he has a sinking fastball that he can pitch inside the strike zone with big velo. And he can, when he wants to, he can go above the line and throw a 4-seamer. But good solid slider, good split. Once he got past the first inning, he kind of stayed ahead. And he just looks like he can add, subtract at will. I mean, he can take a little bit, make it sink a little bit more, or he can pound you and he can go above the 95 line if he wants to. And he's always ahead. He was tough, really smooth, really consistent. Nothing about his performance outside of the first 2 walks really surprised me. I mean, he's just that good, and he's now understanding. I think with the 2-seam fastball, it gives him that kind of. See, you're not caught in these places where you have to make the perfect pitch with an off-speed pitch all the time. I mean, Gilbert. I mean, I marvel at the guy because he's tinkering all the time, and he's constantly throwing the kitchen sink at people when he's got 97 in his back pocket, but. George doesn't mess around. George goes right at you. And that's why he's got a chance to win a lot more games because his pitch count will be lower. Because a 2-seamer and a grounder to second is A-okay for me. Maybe not for the guys in the bunker that think you got to go 3-2 and strike everybody out, which is not what you should be doing as a starter because you need to get early contact and get people out and let your defense make some plays for you. That's how you win games. That's how you keep the bullpen not overused.
Is that is that kind of how you would advise? Let's go back to Thursday. Is that an issue with Castillo at times? Is that he gets deep into these counts, these full counts, and it's wanting to strike people out and just get the out and move on?
Well, his problem is, he doesn't have that tall angle that these other 2 cats have. He flows from a flatter angle. He wants to upshoot you. He wants to beat you above the line with his fastball. His slider's just A-okay. I think he's got a great changeup. I don't think he throws it enough. He had 5 left-hand hitters in the lineup or 6, and he didn't throw his change enough. When he did, it made him a better pitcher. I think that's the pitch he needs to spend more time on. I think he should concentrate on using his changeup more. And every time he wants to throw a 2-seamer, throw your changeup. And the more he throws it, the more depth he'll get on it, the better touch he'll have on it. I think that's a really important for pitcher. I think he needs to throw it more. And, yes, being willing. His problem is that his fastball inside the zone is pretty straight. So that's why he doesn't.
It doesn't dance. It doesn't dance like those other guys. It doesn't dance like Kirby's dance.
Yeah. So he's a volume strikeout guy. He's not. He doesn't have that ability so much. I mean, he pitched 7 innings 10 times last year. That's not a bad number. Since he got here, he's been really good. I mean, really good. All-star caliber, stretches where he's really as good as there is in the league. You know, he stumbled twice in September. This start was just not his best, but I have no question that this guy is in his prime and is going to have another fabulous year. That would be the small adjustment, is to get more depth and throw his changeup more.
Let's then go to Saturday. He doesn't factor into the decision, obviously, because the offense is not being able to produce. But Logan Gilbert, he follows up the Kirby performance, and again, Gilbert just kind of picks up right where he left off from a year ago. And you're right there. I don't think there's a pitch he does not have in his arsenal. I mean, he's got so damn many pitches, Bill. But he looked great. He looked fantastic, especially in that first game for him.
Yeah, his big deal is, he started the game off the first time through. He threw some fastballs at 95, 96, maybe 97, and he spotted them. He spotted them on the corner. He pitched away with his fastball, had 2 or 3 strikeouts with fastball, and I thought, wow, I just like what he's doing. And then he got real slider heavy. I mean, his split is a good pitch for him. The split is for these guys, Kirby and Gilbert, they don't have great breaking stuff. It's not great. Okay. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean they're not good pitchers. I mean, they've developed pitches at the big league level. Most of us had to learn how to have a breaking ball before we got here. We never would have got here, but they got here because they have, big fastball, right? In a fastball era where the strike zone's so big. But his slider, he throws it, and it has different speeds on it. He's got a cutter now. I'm not so sure I'm sold on that pitch at 91, 92, and it kind of stays on the plane. I'd rather see him just throw the fastball. And just, if you're going to pound somebody in, just pound them with a fastball rather than trying to throw a cutter. But I don't like a pitch that's slower. And they did nose a couple of his cutters up, but we'll see. He's a smart guy, and he works hard. Okay. And so I have a lot of faith in his ability to figure out what works and what doesn't. I would think that having a little better fastball command, I thought the first 3 innings are the ones he should look at and say, that's the way I need to be. Not quite, because after the 3rd inning, he was pitching with his slider completely. And you know what? That's tough to do. You throw one cement mixer at the wrong time, and a guy hits one in the alley, and the game changes. So, he's got too good an arm not to throw a little bit more of his fastball. How's that?
Yeah. Bill Krueger with us, a Root Sports analyst. He'll be joining us every Monday here on pucksports.com to break down the weekend of games, look ahead to the upcoming week of Mariners baseball. It's all brought to you by Rise Above Foundation. All right, it's coming up soon. Tell me about the Rise Above Golf Classic, Monday, June 24th, the golf club at Snoqualmie Ridge. How can we get involved? What can we do? And how bad a golf can I play if I come on out there? I just put a putting green, big thanks to Synthetic Turf Northwest. I just put a putting green in my backyard, and I'm going to tell you, right, I'm sinking putts left and right. I mean, I'm gonna come out there. I'm gonna come out there like a young Jack Nicklaus. It's gonna be insane. I'm taking money off people left and right.
Well, I tell you what, have a guy that can really make putts in your group. That's like gold, right? And we're playing scramble, which means in scramble that's just one good swing on each individual play. That's all you need. The other 3 can shank them or hit them in the woods. It doesn't matter, right? But if you can make putts, that's a big deal. I should also tell you
that matters.
We have a net. We're going to have 3 places for net and gross. So we're going to be asking people to give us their average score or their handicap, and so that we can give the field where you have maybe a group of people that are just having fun, but their handicaps are a little high. They can still have a chance to win, which isn't really our whole purpose, right? We're out, to raise money for Rise Above, which is now in our 10th year. It's started by Jackie McCormick, who was a very notable Native American women's basketball player, and she has dedicated her life to changing the course of Native American kids' lives, because we have a horrendous graduation rate of only 60%, and we have a terrible problem with teen suicide. It's almost 3 times the national average, and so she's dedicated herself using sports to get these young women and men together, kids, and get them in a safe place and start working with them to help them find their potential. But the event will be first class at Snoqualmie Ridge. We'll have wonderful giveaways. We'll have some celebrities like Jason Puckett out there. But there's such a following with Jackie when you're talking about Lenny Wilkins being out there, Danny Glover, the movie producer, who's making a movie on Jackie's life. That'll be at Sundance in a couple years. I mean, it's the real thing. Detlef Shrimp and Dale Ellis and Spencer Hawes and Marcus Trufant. I mean, the list goes on of people in this community, sports figures that have really aligned themselves with Jackie and in her mission. So
it's awesome.
We expect to have a great day out there, a lot of fun, and raise some money.
What is there a best place to go? I mean, can people get involved? Where would you send people? Where would we direct people here to get involved in the event that's coming up in June?
Right. You can go to www.nativeyouthriseabove.org. That's our website.
Okay.
But we'll set something up with you, Jason, so they can get a link to our registration.
Okay. Good. Yeah. NativeYouthRiseAbove.org. You can find more information there. Yeah. Well, it's great stuff. I mean, it's going to be awesome. And you do such hard work and great work with it. I mean, I saw it up close and personal when we were down there in Renton at Top Golf, and all those people are out there, and it was great to see all those celebrities. Great to see Danny Glover. God, I was like in awe seeing Danny Glover. I just wanted him to recite every line from Lethal Weapon. He couldn't have been nicer. Absolutely great. And you had so many great people that turned out to it because they all want to support you, and Jackie's story is great, and it's awesome. And I love what you're doing. It's going to be fun. Fun event Monday, June 24th, Golf Club at Snoqualmie Ridge. More information, nativeyouthriseabove.org, and we'll have a little bit more links that we will keep promoting this every Monday as you join the show to talk a little Mariners baseball. They're 2-2. They'll start a series with the Guardians, and they're going to head out on the road. But so far, first 4 or 5 days into it, or a week into it, no one panic yet. It's okay. No. But I'd like to see the offense. I'd like to see the offense get going. It'd be nice. All right. Can we do that? Can we put heaters? Can we put heaters at T-Mobile? Have you ever you have an outdoor living area? I do. And we have space heaters everywhere. How about we just put a bunch of space heaters inside T-Mobile and pump so much hot air in there it feels like it's 80 degrees? You think that's possible?
Yeah, I think it's an idea. I think it's something to table. Maybe give John Stanton a call. I'm sure he'd be all for it.
Oh, yeah, we got to get like a heating supply company to do it. Bill, we appreciate it. We'll do it every. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's something. We'll do it every Monday here at pucksports.com. You can also follow it on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you find your podcast. Just search Puck Sports. Bill Krueger every Monday talking Mariners baseball. All brought to you by Rise Above Foundation. The website nativeyouthriseabove.org. All right, until next Monday, Bill, we'll talk to you later, my friend.
All right, thanks, Jason.
There he is, Bill Krueger. We'll talk to you soon. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!